before we ask you that, Ian, difficult decision to part ways with Craig. Can you tell us about the process and the decision behind it?
Yeah, I think these are obviously emotional for me because I've sat on that other side of the table when you've been released from your job, and so we take it very, very seriously, and I take it very personal just because I've been on that side so many times. And it was a difficult decision. He's a wonderful kid, but it was no reflection really of anything that he did here. He was great in his role. I wish that the roster would have been what I thought it would have been in the beginning of August, and we wouldn't have had to go down this path. But I think doing nothing also is the wrong move too. So we wish him the best. It's no different for me emotionally to cut a Jared Bairstow and don't bring him back, or Josh Majetta's third year. And to have a wonderful kid like that in our program was fantastic. His family's wonderful, but we have to move onward, and tough decisions have to be made.
How did he take the news?
He's really good. We did it with all the coaches, and it was emotional, but he took it very well. I had some nice texts with him over the last 24 hours of just what he appreciated and gotten better and loved the environment here. And I think, one of the things we try to do is be quite respectful of these transactions. And, Christine Finnegan reached out. And so we had a number of people around him. And, our players loved him. They loved being around him. But the decision, ultimately falls on my shoulder of what we end up doing. And I just thought it was best with this break coming up to see if we could tweak the roster a little bit.
How do you assess his season? Because he started slowly, I suppose, but he seemed to improve each and every game.
Yeah, he was obviously thrown in the mix of what we expected from him, and actually he was doing exactly what we expected if Jack McVay would have been here, just a disruptor and play 5 minutes, play 15 minutes, and that's kind of what the role was for him. But fortunately, we did have him because Shawnee Mack was injured, Drimmick was down, and so he did feel a really need that we weren't expecting. But now those guys are back and healthy, and there's some concerns that I have with us moving forward. Our rebounding is something that's been really, really poor, and having more size up front in that spot, I think, will hopefully do as well.
What can you tell us about Ian, and how does he sort of integrate into the team now as opposed to what Craig brought?
Yeah, I think the big thing with Ian is the firfirst thing is he went to Princeton, so he's really, really smart. So,
smart for you?
Yeah, well, a lot of guys are too smart for me. But, he's just a high basketball IQ guy, good skill set for us. He's a system guy that likes to be in a system. He had 2 miserable years these last few years in Japan in a really tough situation that he went through there. But up until then, he's been very productive in his other teams in Europe, and he has a lot of experience. So we're not asking the world from him other than to help us on the glass, help us defensively in some areas, have another bigger body out there as we move forward in this final push. And again, he's quite smart, and so I think he'll pick up things quickly. And we have this window of time now to get him up and going, and we'll use it to our advantage.
And obviously strengthen the offensive end though too.
I don't really concern myself on that side of the floor. He's skilled enough. He's lasted long enough in Europe to make sure that he knows what he's doing, and he knows what he's doing. And we won't put any pressure on him other than to just go play basketball and try to enjoy himself in the process. He has a really good skill set that we like, and we'll use it to our advantage.
What are the challenges in trying to integrate a guy into the squad mid-season when people are probably up to speed?
Yeah, well, that's it. Just trying to get him up to speed. And the good thing is that our culture and the people that we have here, and the high character guys, will absorb him very quickly. And he's already had dinner with a bunch of them last night, and it kind of feels like he's been here for a while. So he's got a really good personality, and he'll just fit in with our guys, and we'll absorb him and get him up and running as fast as we can. And I don't think there will be anything stressful about him being in here. I think it's just the nature of our business, and guys are coming and going.
Is he something you've had your eye on for a little while now?
To be quite honest with you, we've been looking for about 6 to 8 weeks to make a move, and we've had multiple players that we thought were going to get down the line. But when you start to navigate buyouts and new salaries and these things, and being fiscally responsible to the club, and not quite knowing 100% that Jack would not come back, and releasing some of his money to help us make this move, we had to be a little bit patient, and we were doing our due diligence behind the scene as best we could. And this one came up rather quickly. It was our last window to do something. If we didn't do it, then we were going to go with what we had, which was going to be fine. Also, we were all on board with that.
obviously really difficult to go to New Zealand and win a game, and you did it really comfortably the other night. Must have been really pleased to come back home with that full points.
Yeah, I think just the trend for the last 4 or 5 weeks has been on an upward trend. I think, again, having Shawnee Mack back, Dermot getting back to form, and guys just feeling good about where they're at in the season. But complacency will kill you, and we will not be complacent. I will be pushing these guys very hard this week, and we'll be relentless in our process of what we do. And listen, the season's wide open. It's kind of the same every year. 1 or 2 teams kind of rise above, and then there's a pack of them in there, and we've always been in that pack, and hopefully we'll survive that. It won't because of this move that we don't. There won't be no pressure on Ian. We win as a team, we lose as a team. And if we can't get out of the pack, then we don't deserve to be in the playoffs. If we keep our head down and kind of go about our business as we have in the past, maybe we'll be able to advance through there. But there are some very, very good teams, and a few of these teams are now getting healthy again, and so the fight's real.
There's quite a big break between the Breakers and Melbourne now. Is it just training as usual? How I suppose do you keep that?
Yeah, I guess there's a bunch of ways to look at it. Like it's really bad for you and you're not playing in rhythm and all those things. But for us, we kind of spin it the other way, and it's actually a chance for us to get better. It's a chance for these guys to individually get better. And we do conditioning and do some extra things, and we do not take a break. And I make them work. Tasmanians expect that. I expect that from them. We are a grit and grind team that just works hard, and they'll show up and do their jobs.
Will Ian come off the bench? Is that the plan, or did you start?
I don't think there's really any plan other than we'll see how he goes here and how he integrates in, and we'll gradually get him up to speed. He hasn't played for about 3 weeks. He was within the FIBA break playing with a national team. So he's back, and we'll just see how his conditioning goes over these next 6 or 7 days and where he fits in. But we'll slowly ramp him up on where he's feeling with our system and conditioning.
Do you feel like you got that starting five almost right now with Joker off the bench, and we saw what he managed to do the other night, still having a really big effect offensively?
Yeah, I think for me coming into the season, that was kind of my vision of obviously Jack being here, but he's not, but having Crawford off the bench and moving Shawnee Mack into that position and or playing those 3 guards like we did at the Game 5. So that was kind of my vision going into the season. Obviously the injuries and stuff that's transpired hasn't, but I think it gives Crawford a chance to come off the bench to be electric in how he plays and give us another boost, another energy guy that can score the ball. And he's not always going to get 21 like he did the other night, but there's a fear factor with him, and I think that's a role that will stay with it.
And just all right.
No, go ahead.
I forgot what I was going to say.
Jesus,
There's something going on, right?
How's Jordan taken to that new role coming up the bench?
Yeah, I had a conversation with him and continue to have conversation with him, and he's just all in about the team. And again, that's the difference between winning and losing and the environment we've created here. He still is just as valuable. He's still going to play 25 minutes a night, and he's done fine at it. And I've asked him multiple times about this move before we did it, and he's just what's best for the team. And that is a huge visual sacrifice for all of us to remind ourselves that no one's bigger than the JackJumpers itself, and that you sacrifice for your brother next to you.
I know Melbourne's a little while away, but full strength, no injuries lingering at all?
Us.
Yeah.
Knock on wood, we're pretty fit.
I remember what I was going to ask now.
Oh, good. Welcome back.
Thank you. Shawnee coming back in has coincided with this run of 5 wins.
Yep.
Is it more than that, though? More than his return? You can see it's changed?
I mean, we were starting, I think, before we won that game, the first game of that 5-game streak, I don't know what it was, but we were trending relatively well. We weren't getting a few games across the line, but we were trending in the right way. And then, coincidentally, then he comes back into the lineup, and listen, he's a stable force out there. He opens up the floor for us. And our offense is creeping in the right direction, which is good. And, I don't want to give Shawnee too much credit, but he's obviously a big part of what we've done in our future here.